Welcome to Actions and Limits. My name is Justin Atherton. I'm the Peak Performance Consultant for Confidence Unchained. With me as always is Paul Fortune. Paul is a mindset coach and the founder of A Call to Action. And together, we make Actions and Limits. Welcome to the show, the podcast where we talk about the actions we can take and the limits we create. Paul, it's a Thanksgiving episode. I know it's your favorite holiday. It's my favorite holiday too. Everyone, make sure that you subscribe and like us on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay updated on all of the upcoming content and all the great interviews we have. Paul, we're wrapping up the year. I know we're bringing back Nick Profetta to the show. He's a friend of yours, and he's been on the show before. But man, it's Thanksgiving week, man. I know it's both of our favorite holiday, but
gobble gobble gobble. I'm excited. I'm excited for the holiday, man. I wait all year for this. I don't eat for a couple days to prep myself. And it's just a happy time. It's like you said, it's kind of like the home stretch, during this time. After that, everybody's preparing for Christmas, and I know it's going to be different, obviously, with the COVID. But hopefully people can have small gatherings and still enjoy themselves, because it's just a fun time of year, I think.
I think it'll be interesting to see how people react to it, and if a lot of people do decide to have their own Thanksgiving. I know a couple years back, that was the first time I ever cooked my own Thanksgiving meal, and so that was an experience all on its own. So I would assume that during all this, people not flying to see each other as much, or driving, or getting in the larger gatherings, my assumption is we're going to see a lot of people on social media. You were like posting like, hey, look, we cooked our first turkey. We had our first Thanksgiving together. That's my assumption for like Wednesday and Thursday, like seeing a lot of those posts come up on social media.
Well, if that's the case, it's extremely important that you listen or watch this episode, because Nick Profetta is going to go over all of that for you.
Yeah, I know, we had Nick on the show before. He helps design kitchens and he loves to cook himself. So I know he's going to come and give us some tips and tricks about like different dishes, how to cook a bird his way, because everybody's got a different way to do it, right? So I think it'll be a good episode for anybody that is thinking about having their own Thanksgiving or having maybe that smaller gathering. I think they'll get a lot from Nick and what he's going to share with us today. So I'm excited to bring him on, man.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we've had Nick on the show before, but Nick Profetta, he's had a long career in the restaurant food service industry. His wide variety of skills collected along the way has led him to start his own business designing restaurants. And Nick gives us a great insight on turning a passion into more than just a hobby. And so everyone, welcome out Nick Profetta to the show. All right, everyone, welcome Nick back to the show. Nick, so glad to have you back on the show, man. How you been?
Hey, guys, thanks for having me back. Given the current environment, our industry of restaurants has really taken a big hit right now. So I'm fortunate enough to still be working and doing well, but overall, it's a tough environment out there.
Okay.
Nick, what about your side gig with the restaurant, design, your restaurant design? How's that going? Is that on a hold because of the COVID, or are there people reaching out to you waiting for more to open, or what's going on with that?
So currently, I don't have any current gigs going on. Actually, my current employer, though, we do a lot of quick service restaurants, and actually I now have a hand in helping to design those. So with my own company, as my side gig is kind of on hold, because no one's really opening up any restaurants right now.
Sure.
Landlords are only putting things in for what was already on the books. It's really tough. There's more people leaving spaces right now than going in, so it's it hurts, but I'm thankful to be in a good spot. People always need to eat, so I'll stay in this business and we'll be just fine.
Awesome.
What advice would you have for managers, that might be newer in the industry and feeling the pinch? What would you tell them going forward to help them?
To help them, I would say keep your options open. There's always somebody that needs help out there. If you're normally in fine dining, what else are you willing to do? Be creative. There's always individuals that are going to need help to get started, or just need a little bit of encouragement along the way. So I would say definitely don't give up. There are still jobs to be had out there, and make sure you don't settle for less than what you really want.
I like that. I've seen a lot of shifts with some of the restaurants, at least in my area. They're open, but definitely, obviously, everyone went to takeout and being able to do that. Even restaurants that had never had any form of takeout. Texas was big on having like to-go alcohol, and then you see a lot of the bars have implemented some type of food so they can fall within the guidelines to be able to be open and avoid that 51% rule. And there's ways around it, right? You just, like you said, leave your options open and be creative. That seems to be the best avenue, right?
Yep, I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah, definitely all across the country right now. There's different percentages of what. Here in California, we can only have 25% of the dining room open. In some counties, other counties still aren't allowed to have any type of dining room open. So it's anywhere from 0 to 50%, just depending on where you are. So it can be very, very tough, and most bars and clubs still aren't open. So there's a lot of bartenders and the like of the hourly employees are the ones who are thankful to have the extension of the unemployment pay and things of that nature to really get them through. So hopefully we'll get a vaccine soon. Then I really see things in tourism and in the business of restaurants really turning around and picking back up. But before then, it's going to be a tough ride.
One of the things, though, that's coming good out of this is the outside dining. I know you're familiar with those, Nick, but I mean, I go down, Belmont Shore in Long Beach, and it looks really nice. I even went down in your neck of the woods on Main Street. They actually closed down part of Main Street and opened it up. So it sounds like looks like those restaurants, especially in Main Street there in Huntington Beach, looks like they're really not losing business because they got the outside and they still can do they've opened up the inside a little bit. So, hopefully the weather holds, because if it starts raining, obviously that's going to affect things. But I've seen a lot of great looking outside patios there.
Yeah, in fact, one of the bright spots that came out of this is actually the city of Orange, in Old Town Orange in California. They have a beautiful circle that's been there for 70, 80 years with a big fountain in the middle. To the north, on the street, there are a bunch of places to eat, just a lot of small restaurants. They've now closed the street off and have allowed dining, and they're actually trying to push to make that permanent. So they actually will not allow traffic to come back. Oh, wow. So COVID's been changing the landscape. And some of this stuff will be permanent. We definitely won't go back to what we saw before. And once it's all said and done, a lot of restaurants will not reopen because they unfortunately couldn't make it through. If anybody's paying attention, there's already 12 major brands that have filed for bankruptcy and just we won't ever see again. And buffets like you've known it won't come back either. So it's tough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Has your plan changed for your career as opposed to for this because of the COVID?
That's a great question. It hasn't. It might just put a delay on things to really hone in and keep focus with the kitchen and restaurant design. Like I said, because there aren't too many opportunities currently of individuals that need that type of assistance really looking to grow. But for the long-term strategy, no, I'm in it. This is what I love to do. It's a part of who I am. So no, I will keep doing it as long as I can.
So are there strategies that you're thinking about implementing in those designs to make it more, let's say, COVID friendly, whatever the thought is on that? What are your thoughts on that? Like within the kitchen itself, to where people aren't seeing the interactions that are going on with the food and with the employees back there.
That's a great question and perception to bring up. One of the things definitely in our designs that I'm looking at, so you have a lot more people interested in type of drive-through. There are concepts that were fast casual that are now really pushing to also do more delivery and takeout, and a lot of contactless stuff. So things, your bags will be sealed, and then when the driver or the individual comes in to pick it up. So we're designing more stations into the restaurants, kind of like what Little Caesars has with the pizza, and you put your code in and go and take it out of the box, and like Panera's been doing it for a while. So you'll see more stations like that. And then as far as in the back of the kitchen, it's putting more stations of hand washing, hand sanitizing. It's really hard to keep individual space 6 feet apart.
Sure.
So what we do is then in California, the law requires masks for all employees. So it's making sure we have those masks available. In my current brand, we also require everybody to glove up, even though gloves are not required by law. So we do that for all individuals, guest facing and non-guest facing, to try to put the least amount of contact with somebody's skin to the food as possible.
What about like the plexiglass, like dividers or something? Because I've been seeing that pop up in a lot of different places. Is that something that is going to be standard now in kitchens in between different stations, like you were saying?
Yep. We have a new restaurant that we are opening up probably early to middle of next year, and the partitions are part of permanent designs now. You won't see that go away anytime soon.
Sure. Yeah,
what do you think AI is going to play into this?
Oh, AI's got a huge play, especially when it comes to all the interface. Right now when you get delivery, there's these little iPads that a brand, if they have more than one delivery company that they work with, you're going to see like 5 of them set up on the counter, and it's all cluttered. You actually will have some AI come in that will consolidate it all down to one or nothing, that will hook straight into our business's computer. And then it will even decide who to give the delivery to. They'll bid it out. So we don't necessarily know if a restaurant develops a website and has ordering on their website, you can have the guest order straight from there. And then now you have the order, and you are able to get the best price and commission rate that you want from those companies. So they're not vying for your business, as in the past it's always been, oh, I'm on Uber Eats website, and who do I choose from? So sure. AI and the ability to control your own destiny when it comes to that is really starting to come into play. And there's also equipment that a lot of companies are looking at to take more hands off the cooking as well. So there's a lot of intelligence that's being developed for.
I didn't understand some of that. So like there was a couple times I ordered food straight from the company's website, and it comes through DoorDash or, like you said, Uber Eats. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. I didn't use that app. So you kind of clarified for me what was going on, that they're being contracted out by the business to like pick up the food and deliver it. But I guess maybe it's reduced fees, or does the restaurant get a piece of that? How does that work out?
So generally, it all depends on the contract that the restaurant's able to get with the delivery company, and the number of units you have. Usually it has to do with the play of how low you can get the fees. But generally, when you're not using the delivery company's site, those fees are reduced by about half.
Oh, wow. So
the more you can funnel people through your own website to have it delivered, it actually works out very much better for the restaurant.
I'm gonna have to keep.
We can talk about this on and on and on, but we brought you out here to talk about Thanksgiving a little bit.
My favorite holiday.
My favorite holiday as well. So talk to me about your normal tradition, Nick, on Thanksgiving Day.
All right. So for Thanksgiving Day, we always have two households that we have to hit up. We always start with the early meal with my wife's family, and it always consists of course, you got to have the turkey, and then you got to have the stuffing and the fixings. And then in the afternoon, we'll do my family side. And on my family side, we'll usually have definitely a turkey, but then also maybe sometimes you got the honey baked ham, or you got the prime rib, or every occasion we might even have a rack of lamb. And then pumpkin pie, apple pie, and then mincemeat pie is always a staple on the table at my folks' house. So,
how do you find room to put all that in your stomach, man? Jeez.
Moderation. All about timing.
Moderation and timing. See, when Paul and I were younger, we had the ability to like eat, go outside, play football for a little while, then, you know, burn off some of those calories and come back in for plates, you know, 3, 4, and 5, you know. So it doesn't happen like that anymore. You know, you burn less calories as you get older. So like you said, moderation, you know, smaller portions on the plate, but yeah. Definitely my favorite holiday. All the food, the football, everything that's involved in it. The turkeys. So there's so many different ways to prepare a turkey. What's your favorite way to do it yourself, or your favorite way to eat it? What are your thoughts there, Nick?
So as far as turkey preparation, you're right. There are 100 ways to do it. The only thing that you want to avoid always is you got to make sure it's cooked. If it's not cooked in any sense, you can't eat it. It's just not safe. Throw it away. You know, over the past decade or so, a lot of people like to deep fry the turkey. I've done that, but you always run the risk of burning your house down if you do it inside. You hear that every Thanksgiving too.
Sure.
The way I like to do it is a good roasted turkey in the oven, low and slow. Okay. We're talking you're cooking it at 300 degrees, 275, and you're just basting it over and over. You go in every 10, 15 minutes, and it comes out like a dream.
How many hours?
Depending on the pounds, usually it is about 25 minutes per pound, 25 minutes per pound. So an average bird, 14 pounds, you're looking at a good 4 or 5 hours, 5.5.
That's not too bad. You know, you start that in the morning, and by the time, you know, the first game's ending in the day, you know, you're ready to eat, right? I experimented a couple years ago with brining a turkey, and that was a very interesting experience. But I liked how it turned out. It was the texture is very different because it's I've heard some people on the negative side describe it as being kind of waterlogged, but it can be very flavorful depending on how you do it. And I think if I had better equipment, that I would attempt that again. But
sure.
It definitely was precarious thinking about having this large amount of liquid in with the turkey and hoping that bag was going to not pop.
Right. Yeah. It's good. I've had awesome brine turkeys, and it's an easy way to flavor them as well with the brine. So yeah, they can work out well.
All right, Nick, talk to me like, you know, you have this young couple and you have to tutor them how to make their first Thanksgiving. You already talked about the turkey a little bit. What would be some good sides to recommend them? They're not real big cooks, but what could they do to make a good Thanksgiving with some good sides?
So any way to impress your family with a Thanksgiving dish is always going to be something to where you can set it and forget it. Good dishes to think about this are going to be some canned yams. You just put them in the pan, cover it with some foil, put them in the oven. You can let those things go for 3-4 hours before they really start becoming unedible. Green bean casseroles are a good one. That definitely stays fresh. I would recommend that for couples. Cranberry relish. Cranberry relish is actually one of the easiest things to make homemade. You just have to watch it a little bit, but literally you just take a bag of fresh cranberries, pour it into a pan with some sugar and then like some orange zest or orange rind, a little bit of vanilla and cinnamon. Oh, it comes out so good, and it's so easy to do. You're calling
it cranberry relish. Is that cranberry sauce for the layman? Like, is that the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing as cranberry sauce. I call it a cranberry relish because it's not quite as thick.
Sure.
As a sauce, like the kind you can cut out of the can.
Got it.
It's
got it.
it's a little more it's definitely a lot softer because it's fresh.
I like that distinguishment there, but yes, I definitely like that fresh cranberry relish, and it's a whole different experience rather than the slopping out of the can and just kind of carving into the jello like substance. It's a very, very different experience, but I think they're both very tasty as something sweet to add in there on the plate, right?
Absolutely.
How do you handle the stuffing?
Ooh, that's always the big question. Do you go in the bird or do you go on the side?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm an on the side kind of guy.
Okay.
I think stuffing in the crock pot is a really easy way to go, and it gets you a nice, soft stuffing without being too saturated. Sometimes when it's in the bird, it's just soaking in the juice that's in the bottom of your pan. So stuffing, I think, is best in the crock pot on the side.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Is there a difference? Because I've heard like maybe that'll contribute to the bird being undercooked if it's in there, or your stuffing gets messed up if you're not cooking it long enough. Is there like any issues you see with actually still cooking it inside the bird other than like the oversaturation, like you said? Is it like health wise? Like
yes,
okay.
You absolutely are up for a health risk. So the part of the bird that's going to be the least cooked is always going to be the inside. Mm-hmm. So because the way that oven works, you have the heat radiating from the outside. It has to penetrate through all the meat to be able to cook the entire thing. When you fill the cavity on the inside, it's no longer hollow, so you're making more space that has to get hot. So therefore, that part of the bird that's touching the stuffing takes a lot longer to cook all the way through. So if that's partially raw, now you're talking about salmonella or other type of poison that can happen based off the fact that your bird isn't cooked. That can transfer to you when you're eating the stuffing.
Well, it sounds like it can also like throw off the timing of the cooking as well, because like you said, it's kind of changing the temperature on the inside of the bird there, so it kind of can throw off the timing as well. So a lot
Absolutely.
of different things to think about when you're deciding on the side, inside, all those different aspects, right? So
mm-hmm.
What about the mashed potatoes? Everybody's got to have the mashed potatoes. Do you have a good recipe for that?
Absolutely. The way that I recommend doing mashed potatoes is mash them with some roasted garlic.
Yeah.
And roasted garlic is one of those things too that you'll impress everybody. And the way to roast garlic is you just take the entire clove and then you slice it right across the top. And then you pour some olive oil just across all the little openings, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then put that in a little tinfoil cup, put that in your oven, and let that cook at 450 degrees for about 15, 18 minutes. And then your garlic all becomes soft.
Oh, wow.
You let that cool, pull it out of the oven. It can be completely cool. You make your potatoes the way that you like. I like to use heavy cream, of course, real butter, salt, pepper, and then you just squeeze some of that garlic straight out of the cloves, out of the skin, right into the potatoes and whip it up.
I'm a huge fan of garlic, and I know Paul is too. He's been eating garlic like straight to cloves, like it's a little snack for him lately.
Yeah, isn't it? It's a healthy thing. I read up it helps with your heart and cholesterol if you just eat the cloves, but it burns going down. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, mashed potatoes are my favorite. I definitely like the roasted garlic. That's an interesting idea there, to roast it separately and put it in there. I've also heard the idea of boiling the garlic with the potatoes.
Yeah, you can
get the same kind of idea to get it softened up, and then when you're mixing it, you just do everything as well. One thing I had recently that I thought was it was really good and kind of changed the whole consistency of the potatoes, is when boiling the potatoes and the garlic, also throwing some cauliflower in there, and then boiling it all together. And then when you whip that up, the consistency, it's almost like you don't have to add any cream or milk to it.
Wow. Actually, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, you still added butter and some salt and pepper, but whatever it is about the cauliflower, adding it in there, you don't really need a lot, like anything else but butter. So I was really impressed, helping my aunt cook, and that was what was already boiling. And I was like, at first I'm like, no, how's this going to taste? And then I taste tested it and I was like, oh, I don't even need to add milk. I'm like, it's good. Just add some butter and season it up a little bit. And it was, just gives it that little bit of change. It's not cauliflower potatoes like people like to do, and it's not straight potato. The mixture of the two, combine them and they're stronger together, I guess.
It reminds me of that song, Ebony, Ivory, living in one perfect family.
There's always a song. Nick's just shaking his head like, yeah, what is going on? Well, that's awesome, Nick. Are there any other, like, because you said you have multiple family ones. Do you ever do like a Friendsgiving type thing? I know that's something that people do, and maybe it's not something this year that's going to be as prevalent unless you're in your bubble, which is that term I've heard used recently as far as like your close knit family, or like the few small group that you're allowing to be in your small circle. How do you see that going forward, or is that something that you would suggest still?
I have done Friendsgivings in the past, and with some pull out the tofurkey.
Yeah.
The fake turkey. I had the carve it before. It's always interesting when you bring friends of different flavors to the table who all want something different. Sure. And it's always interesting to see how everybody celebrates Thanksgiving a little different and what their dishes consist of. But yeah, definitely this year, everybody is going to be careful. With numbers definitely aren't going down. There really is some seriousness to this, and I think a lot of people take it serious. So we will hopefully have our Friendsgivings and all these other pastimes back, or people who actually go. I work for one concept where we would be massively busy on Thanksgiving. It was our second busiest day of the year. For everybody who didn't want to cook the turkey in their kitchen. So come on over. We took care of it for you. But this is one year where I think it's going to be a lot of small meals without huge gatherings.
Yeah, that always surprised me, is seeing like these specific restaurants that were just full on Thanksgiving and just packed. And I'm like, because growing up, I never thought about that. And you never thought about going to a restaurant to eat. It was just like, that was the massive meal that you had at home for like 1 or 2 days, and then leftovers for however long that lasted. So seeing, all these different restaurants over the years, full on Thanksgiving and serving those turkey and potato platters, but that kind of surprised me. But maybe that's something that we'll see more this year. A lot of restaurants doing those to-go orders or to-go turkeys and things like that. I'm sure that there's several restaurants working on some kind of package that'll probably be starting to advertise. Like, I think probably the beginning of the month is when they start advertising that type of stuff. But
yeah, we're almost at Thanksgiving now. Yeah, I've been seeing them out for a few weeks already.
Yeah. So Paul,
you didn't even mention your favorite, my favorite side dish. You get some celery, you get some cream cheese, you chop up some olives, you put it on. It is phenomenal, Nick. It's easy, and it's scrumdiddlyumptious. Scrumdiddlyumptious. Have you had that?
Celebrating Thanksgiving.
What's that?
Sorry for him.
Is that ants on a log? Is that what that's called, or is that peanut butter? Is that what that's called?
I've never heard it called that way. It's just a tasty treat that I like to eat.
I do recall the many years having Thanksgiving together, and like that was a dish. Like that was always put out. I think Paul would polish those off. I'd be polishing off the deviled eggs. And then by the time it was time to eat, we're like, hey, we're kind of full. Like. I see that happen a lot, but I'm excited to have, get together for Thanksgiving and all the food. And man, I hopefully everyone figures out their plans, coming up and how to be safe about it, how to get together in their small group, or if it's just going to be a family figuring it out for the first time. we may be seeing a lot of that too. A lot of maybe people posting on their Instagram and Facebook going like, hey, we're figuring out how to do a turkey for the first time ever. You know, I know I did that a couple years ago, and it was definitely a project working on that. But so any tips for people that are doing the first time Thanksgiving?
First time, definitely keep it small. I wouldn't try to learn. And luckily, given the environment, we're not getting together with 30 people this year in most houses. I would say keep it small. Start with a small turkey. You'll find ones out there 7-8 pounds. They take less time to cook, and they're much easier to watch and to be able to control what happened to them more. So start small, and then that means you're serving 4 or 5 people with leftovers. So then you're not making 100 pounds of mashed potatoes either. You're keeping it manageable, so you're also less likely to get stressed out. Keep it small, enjoy your food, and everybody's going to have a good time. Because remember, above anything else, Thanksgiving is about togetherness.
I like that, Nick.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that it keeps it in perspective, right? It's not about the meal itself. It's not about what's going on. It's like, hey, it's about getting together with the people that are close to you, that you love, and, you know, enjoying your time together. So I think that's a great tip, keeping things small so you're not stressing out about the food, and you're not cooking this 40-pound turkey for the 5 of you to eat, you know. And there's so many more things that can go wrong the more stuff you put into the works. And it's like you don't have 3 ovens cooking at the same time to try the timing. So keep it small. I think that's a really good tip, you know, to do. So anything else, Paul, before I know we've got, you know, we're going to wrap up the show a little bit differently tonight, but.
No, I mean, I don't have anything else to add. I know that I thank Nick for giving me some tips. I've been taking some notes.
You're gonna cook a turkey this year, Paul? You gonna put a turkey in the oven?
You never know. You never know.
If you do, I want some pictures. I want some pictures. You need to like do a little video going, hey.
I'll give you some pictures, maybe. I'll give you some video. Some up close going forward. You got all angles.
Yeah, there you go.
I got 3 cameras going on me.
All the angles. All the angles. Well, Nick, no, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insight. And you know, it's nice to hear that you're, you know, still going on with your business and making those adjustments with COVID and everything, and just, you know, staying true to what you want to do and not letting what's going on in the world falter what's going on, and really just kind of sticking with it. And like you said, making those adjustments on the fly and going like, hey, this is it. There's going to be a rebound, you know, after we come out of this, and you're ready to go once it's there. So I applaud you for that, Nick. I know Paul has, he likes to quiz you on, you know, 80s music trivia. So I know Paul's been hanging on to this one for a couple months, knowing you were going to come on the show for the Thanksgiving episode. So I'll give it to Paul here.
Okay, and for people who are a novice about this, it's going to be very small that I'm going to give to him. Reason being is this guy's good at guessing, so I have to keep it really short, and I got to keep it pretty monotone. Okay, so I'm going to give you the category, Nick. It's going to be 80 shows. So you're going to name the show. Okay. Okay. Now, before you answer the question, Nick, I'm going to ask Justin. I'm going to say it. I'm going to ask Justin, yes or no. Do you think you know the answer? And if he says yes, I'm going to have him write it down, and then I'm going to have you guess and see if whatever Justin wrote down was correct. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm only going to give you 3 words. I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to be as monotone as possible. All the time.
Jesus Christ, Paul.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Justin, do you know the answer?
All the time? No.
All right. Nick, give him the answer.
So it is Eddie Murphy, and My Girl Wants to Party All the Time.
No. That is incorrect.
He's saying a TV show.
Oh, you switched up to a show.
He said
Okay,
theme of a TV show. I still don't know. I got the category. I was tracking with the category, but I'm still all the time. You normally sing. You normally do like did it.
Not when I have it with Nick. I don't.
Yeah.
I will sing if you need me to, but I mean, if I sing it, you're gonna get it. Nick will get it. I don't know if you'll get it.
I mean,
all the time.
Did Paul actually stump Nick for once?
I might have, but once I sing it, he'll get it.
All right, sing it.
All the time.
Paul.
No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. All right. I'm gonna go the line before that, and then I'm gonna go all the time, and I think you'll get it.
All right.
Baby, rain or shine, all the time.
Yep. Okay. We got each other sharing that laughter and love. Growing.
Yep.
Is it
And
growing?
that song is by BJ Thomas. You do it no justice. No offense.
No offense.
Did you get was that like the most 3 obscure words like in the song? Like I'm trying to like think to how it actually go. After we're done recording, I'm gonna go play it and go, what was Paul singing? Well, that was super obscure. I appreciate it, but yes, Nick, normally you got it like that, bro. Like, and I give you props for how quickly you normally get that. Paul was trying hard on that one to be super obscure.
Yes, he was
with it. And Nick, as you know, we normally close up the show with a segment of Ask Paul Anything. Paul said you have a question for Paul.
I do. So I know that 2 of the things that Paul loves, like more than anything, Thanksgiving is his favorite holiday. That's one of them. The Dallas Cowboys is another.
Huh.
Okay. Would you give up every single Thanksgiving to have the Cowboys win another Super Bowl?
Whoa. Wow.
That's a tough one, man.
So they will never ever win a Super Bowl if I say I'll have a Thanksgiving. Is that what you're saying to me? They will never ever win again.
Yep.
Right?
You take one Dallas Super Bowl win for every Thanksgiving.
Well, I feel like that's reality, so I'll keep the Thanksgiving.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair answer. Like, how could you give up your favorite holiday for something that's like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen? Nick, that was a tough question, man, because I mean, I'm on the same boat. I'm right there with Paul, Thanksgiving and Dallas Cowboys. That is a tough question to ask, Nick. So, but I think Paul answered appropriately because it's like,
I do too.
Well, Nick,
and I gave him more than 3 words.
Yeah, more than 3
Thank
words.
you. Thanks, Nick. And no offense, your question was great.
Thanks, guys. Nick, thank you so much for coming back on the Actions Unlimited podcast. We're glad you're doing well and still, trucking through, during all this COVID. And thank you for all the Thanksgiving tips. Looking forward to this Thursday when we all get to eat that wonderful meal that we're having prepared. So, Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show, bud. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, guys, for having me.
Well, we can end it. We can end it right here. For Justin Atherton and Nick Profetta, this is Paul Fortune. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next Monday. Thank you for listening to the show. Don't miss an episode. Click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform and find us on Instagram and Facebook under Actions and Limits to stay updated on all our upcoming content. Continue to email the show at actionsandlimits@gmail.com for our segment Ask Paul Anything. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.